Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is for educational purpose only. And this is for fair use purpose. Sloan Bella is a famous psychic who's done many documentaries, and her readings, spiritual readings, have actually turned out to be true. I know people have different opinions about psychics. I'm not a person who watches psychics, but I really watch Sloan Bella. I'll give you an example. Sloan Bella spoke back 8 months ago. She connected to Kim Porter, that is Puff Daddy's previous girlfriend and the mother of his 3 children, who is deceased now, who's no longer with us. Kim Porter was a good human being, a good mother, very loved by many. And there's been a lot of talk and rumors that P. Diddy was behind her unaliving, although it was said that she died of pneumonia at the age of 47. What is interesting is Kim Porter told Sloan Bella in a reading, that in November 2024, people will come out and expose P. Diddy, Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, Diddy, whatever we call him these days, or whatever he calls himself. And that actually happened. In November 2024, Cassandra Ventura, Cassie, filed her complaints to the court, and it was settled very quickly for a couple of millions. In that reading, Sloan Bella mentioned that P. Diddy's house was going to be raided in March 2024. That happened too. We've seen that. And I apologize, it was November 2023 that she predicted that someone will come out and expose P. Diddy. And that was Cassie. So you can watch her channel. It's Sloan Bella Psychic Reading. She has many subscribers. She's always on point. I was watching her talking about the Idaho Moscow case, and I'm going to use this for fair use purpose. If y'all don't like psychics, then I would advise you not to watch it. But I love the way she talks. It's more like a storytelling about what she sees and what she feels. So this is for educational purpose only.
Here's what I feel happened the night that this happened, or preceding this, because it's a projection of things. So I want to talk about Bryan Kohberger to begin with, because I feel that he was there. I am not disputing that. I feel like he was there. I feel like he was known to everybody in that house. No, I am not disputing that. I feel like he was there. I feel like he was known to everybody in that house. Known peripherally, known through a friend of a friend, known. Okay, I don't feel like he was somebody that they didn't know. I feel like somebody in that house absolutely knew him. I also, from the energy of Bryan, feel like the connection to him is a weaponized human mindset. Weaponized. He was clicked into action. I don't know if this happens outside of what we know on Earth and is a spiritual element to it, or I actually feel that he was and is a weaponized human being. So I feel these ideas were projected onto him, and he was placed in that area very specifically to cause distraction. There are a multitude of things going on, and I don't even think that his brain understands what's going on. I'm not saying he's not guilty. What I'm saying to you is there is a succession of events, and there is multiple reasons for those people being murdered. Not just one, and not just one person, and not just one group of people. This is a complete trifecta, a perfect trifecta of 3 different organizations. My mind was going everywhere, okay? Speaking to me, I had trouble sleeping. My mind was going absolutely over here, over there, trying to feel the energy. I heard Kaylee say very strongly, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And I was trying to ask her, what are you sorry for? Because I don't think she had anything to do with it. I think she spoke out of turn to somebody that she thought was a friend of hers. And this is a guy, not a girl. I feel like she was in the acquaintance of somebody who she did not know was connected to the group that she was speaking about. And I feel like that tripped her up. Very strongly, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And I was trying to ask her, what are you sorry for? Because I don't think she had anything to do with it. I think she spoke out of turn to somebody that she thought was a friend of hers. And this is a guy, not a girl. I feel like she was in the acquaintance of somebody who she did not know was connected to the group that she was speaking about. And I feel like that tripped her up. I don't feel like she knew, or she read it, or she could see it. So I feel like she came into the proximity of one of the 3 different people, different circumstances, different groups, if you want to put it like that. One of the 3 different groups that was focused on removing the people in that house from what they did. I also then whipped right over to Dylan, and there is a complete mask over her energy field. I cannot read her for the life of me, and she is not who she presents herself to be. I will tell you that. I feel like it's a complete inversion. It's completely inverted. It's not as she presents herself. Now, this could be self-preservation. I don't deny that. But I can't get a fix on the energy because she projects outwardly something that she isn't. Okay, I can tell you that much. That doesn't mean anything. A lot of people do that. So what I saw with her is that when the person walked in the house, okay, so when the person walked in the house, the person she describes in a mask, I feel like she saw them walking in the house. So when she says she saw them leaving, I believe she saw that as well. But I think she left out the part where she saw them walking in the house and opened the door, and they walked right by her. And I do feel like they saw her. So there's some kind of recognition there because they saw her. Whatever the recognition is, why ever they didn't kill her, there is a reason. There is acknowledgement there. I think she opened the door and went, oh shit, and shut the door. Okay, this is prior to what happened. She either caught the back end of them or caught it right on the way by. I don't feel like Bethany saw any of that, but I feel like Bethany knows exactly what was going on, but maybe during what was going on. Obviously, if you hear sounds like that, and I'm really hesitant to believe that they did not hear the sounds of people being murdered. I'm pretty sure you heard them. That house, I'm pretty sure you heard them. I can hear a creak in my house. I mean, there's no way you didn't hear them. You may have tuned it out, you may not have wanted to deal with it, but there's no way you can't hear that. That house was not that big, and it seemed like it was pretty actually run down, or not really sturdy. It wasn't like a mansion with 75 rooms. So I got the distinct feeling that both the surviving roommates actually did hear what went on. I am also seeing Kaylee and Madison at some kind of establishment, bar, restaurant, whatever. I see them talking, they're eating something, so it could be like at a bar stool. It's a table, not a booth table. They're sitting there talking, and who they're talking to is a turncoat or a Benedict Arnold or a person who is setting them up, getting information about when they're going home, what they're going to be doing. I feel like the girls were talking to the enemy without knowing it was the enemy. Now, what do
I wonder who was the enemy they were talking to. Was it Adam, or was it Jack D, or was it Jack S?
is a turncoat or a Benedict Arnold or a person who is setting them up, getting information about when they're going home, what they're going to be doing. I feel like the girls were talking to the enemy without knowing it was the enemy. Now, what do I mean by that? You're thinking, who wants to kill young girls, right? Besides sexual pervert, which is where this case is going when they focus on Brian Koberger. They focus on, he's like on the spectrum, he's OCD, and he is a Scorpio. They do stalk people. I mean, that's just factual. They do it for fun. Scorpio rising, Scorpio moon, whatever. Scorpio sun, they can't help themselves. They rule that part of the chart. They also make great detectives, okay? So they will research. I feel like Brian was called in to the house after the fact or during the fact to follow up on the fact. That's actually what I think. I realize he was there, but I'm trying to feel what he's doing, and it feels like I'm cleaning up behind somebody. I'm cleaning up. Okay, so it looks a little bit, and I'm not apologizing for him. I don't even want to hear that in there. I'm telling you what I'm feeling, and I don't have to feel what is written in the newspaper. That's not how psychic works. That's not how mediumship works. That's not how energy reading works. And I'm getting really amped up with it. I hear Kaylee again saying, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I hear Xana talking to her mother. I'm hearing that. There's some.
I wonder what happened. Did Kaylee tell Adam something? Or did Kaylee tell Jack D something? Because Kaylee and Maddie were clearly standing and talking to Jack D while he was sitting on the bar stool. Did Jack D tell Adam, or did Maddie tell Adam? Is that what got them unalived?
He was killed slightly differently, as in there were different weapons used. I'm going to word it like that. So one may not actually be a knife. It may be something else. It may be a sharp edged thing. What was so interesting is when I was trying to feel the energy, was thinking of people that sharpen weapons, like other kinds of things like ski poles and stuff, and they sharpen it where it could look like a knife or stick somebody like a knife.
I wonder if that could be Jack S, since he's so skilled with hunting and K-bar knives. The sharp-edged weapon, could that be E is golf set? Because it seemed like 2 or 3 of the 6 were missing when the detectives and Chief Fry was putting the golf set in the van.
Was fighting. I also feel the phone call was made. The people were sent out. The cleaner came into the house. The people were sent out. There's somebody scooping up paperwork or looking for information in the house. Now, I don't know how much paperwork anyone keeps in those like fraternity houses or sorority houses or on-campus houses, but I'm feeling like they were looking for something in particular. I also feel like a call was made at about 11 o'clock the night prior on the 12th, and everything was set into motion then. It was set into motion. It's going forward. Now, I feel like this is connected to something so much more than like, I'm pissed off at you, I'm a psychopath, I'm coming to kill 4 random people. That house was being watched. They were being stalked. Everybody in that house was being watched, okay? Everybody, not Madison, not just Kaylee, not, Bethany, not just Dylan, all of them. And there was one other girl in there.
I can believe that easily because in the beginning it was said that Kaylee had a stalker. Could that have been what Kaylee meant by it? Maybe Kaylee was more observant and she noticed that somebody was stalking her. But Sloan Bella is saying clearly that they all were under surveillance, which I would believe. Look at what was going on. Look at what was going on at the grub truck. Look at what was going on in Banfield. And I believe the corner club was the same. There were people already watching these girls, these victims.
Not just Dylan, all of them. And there was one other girl in there. All of them. Okay, all of them were being watched. They were being watched from the perspective of, we need to see who's saying what. So we listen. That sounds like some kind of organization or some kind of crime group and or government crime, something. They were being watched. I feel like the two girls, Kaylee and Madison, got in the way of an investigation for either a crime trafficking family. I go to Arizona, I go to New Mexico, and I go to California. That's a triangle. That's a triad, a trifecta. That's what they keep telling me in my head, a trifecta. So I go to there. What happens in those states? Trafficking, 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 trafficking. I can't stop saying that. Trafficking. That's what happens in those states. Somebody in that house was speaking and was involved with somebody connected to that organization. And then somebody else in that house was talking about what they knew about what this person said, kind of peripherally. So it's like when I say something and there's a whole group of people and I say something and these two people have a secret over here and I'm outing their secret. No one's told me. I just happen upon it. Observation. I happen to say something that makes one turn against the other. One turns against the other. One turns against the other. Okay? One turns. I don't necessarily think that's even really what happened. I think it was sort of a happenstance. And I also feel like it was 3 men involved. It's all threes. Threes. Okay? All the way along. 3 men. Now, when you're talking about the roommates, and it sounds really very strange, and I don't mean this in a horrible way, but one of the roommates presents herself how she isn't. So I present myself like this, but I'm not really like this. So the projection or the energy that I show is cloaked and hidden because I don't want you to know who I am and why I'm at your school. Okay, so that's what I will say.
Could that be DM or BF? Allegedly. What is interesting is that Sloan Bella gets the energy that there were 3 people from 3 different organizations in the house who unlived the 4 students. Do you all remember that there was 3 unidentified male DNAs in the house? They don't seem to be discussing that anymore. Just like the 4 figures. So the 3 unidentified male DNAs found in the house had to be, allegedly, if it's true, if this reading is true, could be 3 different organizations. Another thing that I found interesting is we've heard that Kaylee was researching about child abuse victims, I believe, or child trafficking. Isn't that interesting that Sloan Bella got the energy of human trafficking? That could be child trafficking. And she mentioned Arizona, Mexico, and California, I believe. This is for fair use purpose. Do you all remember what Enan Harsh said about the black SUV or Jeep that he saw parked in those areas? He said it had Arizona, Montana, or Nevada plates, I guess.
You know, it's around, I don't know, like 1:30, 2-ish a.m. It's maybe when I got home, maybe, you know, I'm always like kind of hoping that I have like a parking spot right in front of my door when I get there, because like lots of times on campus, you know, there's like parties and like they're pretty full. And so like this time I noticed that like, I don't know, it wasn't really any cars as usual. I was like, cool, I'm gonna get a nice spot right in front. And there was you know, like I saw like this sort of like kind of like decked out like luxury, like I thought it was black SUV, maybe like a Beamer or something, and it had like rims, tinted windows, and I was like, oh, that's like a pretty cool car. And then like, you know, coming out, like I noticed some like plates from like Arizona, I want to say, or Montana. There's kind of like you know, it's like I'm always like kind of curious what kind of like, you know, different plates are like around and stuff, because usually you just see like Idaho, especially in like my parking lot. And so like I came in and you know, it was like surprisingly like pretty empty that night. Like none of the houses and like that on those like two streets were having parties, which was like kind of unusual. And then I went home, was like making some tea, just like doing some contact staff drills and like you know, stretching. I think I played a game of League, and then I went to bed. And
I wonder if it is this black truck or SUV that Enan Harsh saw and that Sloan Bella is talking about.
Were being watched. They were being watched from the perspective of, we need to see who's saying what, so we listen. That sounds like some kind of organization or some kind of crime group and or government crime, something. They were being watched. I feel like the two girls, Kaylee and Madison, got in the way of an investigation for either a crime trafficking family. I go to Arizona, I go to New Mexico, and I go to California. That's a triangle, that's a triad, a trifecta. That's what they keep telling me in my head, a trifecta. So I go to there. What happens in those states? Trafficking, 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 trafficking. I can't stop saying that. Trafficking. That's what happens in those states. Somebody in that house was speaking and was involved with somebody connected to that organization. And then somebody else in that house was talking about what they knew about what this person said, kind of peripherally. So it's like when I say something and there's a whole group of people and I say something and these two people have a secret over here and I'm outing their secret. No one's told me. I just happen upon it. Observation. I happen to say something that makes one turn against the other. One turns against the other. One turns against the other. Okay? One turns. I don't necessarily think that's even really what happened. I think it was sort of a happenstance. And I also feel like it was 3 men involved. It's all threes, threes, okay? All the way along. 3 men. Now, when you're talking about the roommates, and it sounds really very strange, and I don't mean this in a horrible way, but one of the roommates presents herself how she isn't. So a succession, and then there's drugs, okay? So there's 3 things. Weaponized human, trafficking, and drugs. But it's not drugs like pharmaceuticals, opioids, fentanyl, heroin. That's not what I'm talking about. Why do people take drugs besides for fun and besides for illness, right? They take drugs, steroid performance enhancing drugs. What if while all of this shit's going on, we have people being brought into this school setting, this university. We have people being brought in there that are kind of harnessed and drugged in order to perform, in order for sports, in order for money. Is one thing, it goes in different directions. But what if the sports department, and I am getting that, so there's also a connection to that. And that came through the side of Ethan. So I don't know what he was involved in or not involved in, but somebody that he was around and talked to is connected to that element. Now, you can be friends and have a whole bunch of people that you know and hang around and not think that they're involved in anything. Or you could suspect it, but you're still hanging out with them because you're friends. You know, when you're 20, you're 21, you're not thinking that, right? You're not thinking that this person is going to fuck up my life because they're going to tell me something and I'm randomly going to repeat it, which is what happened with Kaylee. That is why she's saying, I'm so sorry. About 11 o'clock the night before they were killed, she is talking in this restaurant and bar place setting, and she is speaking about something, and they are like, absolutely the fuck not, you have to shut up. Okay, so they're not telling her that, but in their head, she is talking to someone, and she's getting bits and pieces of it, not the whole thing, bits and pieces.
So if Kaylee was researching about child human trafficking or child abuse victims, and she came across these news about it, she must have told Maddie, and Maddie must have told Adam. Could it be possible that Adam, Jack S., and all of them are kind of involved, and they pass the word to the organizations and they're to silence them? I hate to say that word, but it could be true. What did Maddie tell Adam? And why did Jack Showalter said, you know we're going to get you for that, Maddie? And a couple of hours later, Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Eve were unlived. And when it comes to E, we know that he was with Xana at the Sigma Chi fraternity. And we have heard, allegedly, that David L. uses steroids. And if that is true, that is where the drugs could have come in. It's other drugs that we think of. We know there were steroids around. Or actually, sorry, we do not know that there were steroids around, but we've heard a lot of rumors and speculations about that. So that could be another organization. Human trafficking is one. And Sloan Bella mentions even that there are some dirty cops, sorry to say, that are involved. There is an internal affair investigation going on with Moscow Police Department. I don't think it's about this case, but it's about another case, but that just shows internal affairs are going on. This is all just my opinion, my thoughts, and I thought of just sharing what Sloan Bella got in her psychic reading, which she usually is, I would say at least 98% right with the readings. Especially the case of Puff Daddy blowing up, and what she predicted 8 months ago is happening accurately the way she described. Poor Kaylee, she must have come across something and said it to Maddie, and Maddie told Adam.
I did, and I saw like this sort of like kind of like decked out like luxury like I thought it was black SUV, maybe like a Beamer or something, and it had like rims, tinted windows, and I was like, oh, that's like a pretty cool car. And then like coming out, like I noticed some like plates from like Arizona, I want to say, or Montana. There's kind of like it's like I'm always like kind of curious what kind of like different plates are like around and stuff. Because usually you just see like Idaho, especially in like my parking lot. And so like I came in and
And it's strange that Inan Hush mentioned Arizona, Montana. He couldn't remember the license plates. And Sloan Bella mentioned Arizona, California, Mexico. So is this a chain of human trafficking that was going on, allegedly?
Crime group and or government crime something. They were being watched. I feel like the two girls, Kaylee and Madison, got in the way of an investigation for either a crime trafficking family. I go to Arizona, I go to New Mexico, and I go to California. That's a triangle. That's a triad, a trifecta. That's what they keep telling me in my head. A tri happen way. By the way, when I'm okay, one of the girls, and I don't ask me which one because I get confused. It was one of the blonde girls though. One of the girls is holding on literally to the bed, okay? Like holding on to the bed and being pulled away. I don't feel that they recognized fully who was there. There was more than one person in the house. And that may be the confusion of Dylan, seeing one go in and one go out and catching the eyebrows coming towards her. Note, girls is holding on literally to the bed, okay? Like holding on to the bed. And
you can see one of the girls who looks like Kaylee on the bed. Although it's blurry.
Recognized fully who was there. There was more than one person in the house. And that may be the confusion of Dylan, seeing one go in and one go out and catching the eyebrows coming towards her. Note, I was directed at the statement that she made, if it is correct. It's so hard to tell online, but if it is correct, she said the person was athletic but not muscular. Let's reword that. One of the people that came in to kill those four was muscular and also had bushy eyebrows. The point was, he was muscular. That's why she said he wasn't. And it was two different people. So did she see the back of one and the front of another? Yes. And they all came from different directions, okay? Like, for different reasons. Now, Brian is a weaponized human. He is put in there, controlled human, mind-controlled human, to do what they want him to do. And he came in to assess what went on. I keep getting that. Like, to take note of it, to observe it, to keep it where it couldn't be found, to make it in a particular way, to make sure the other ones didn't get caught. And there's a payoff for, if you take the fall for this, we will go here. There's also mind control with it. I wouldn't take the fall for that, okay? And I'm not saying he wasn't involved in it, but it's not quite to the degree that he was a psychopath in there murdering everybody. There are other people, period. It has to do with trafficking. It has to do with sports. It has to do with steroids, drugs, injectables, whatever you want to call them. All of those things are involved. Each and every person in that house was talking to other people that they assumed were friends. There was many a voyeur in that house because it is a town full of young kids in a house, girls. So the neighbors were watching, always watching. There is video footage of what happened. So this brings another element. I feel like that home was bugged. Okay, bugged. By bugged, I mean like in the, 1960s reference. Maxwell Smart, Get Smart. They placed objects in the house that could absorb, record, watch, rewind, watch, rewind, watch, rewind. There's a full accounting on the internet of the murders. I don't know if it's on the internet you and I would see, but somewhere online this is being sent around, because there is also a ritualistic aspect to it. The Greek system, the numerology, the sigil magic that Dylan put the tattoo on her arm. I'm not disputing getting a tattoo after someone dies. As you know, I did the same thing. It's what the tattoo is. That is a sigil, okay? So I feel like there's a specific reason for that. It's a numerology. All of the kids' names are connected energetically. That's why they were brought there. There's a connection. This is a spiritual focus. This is a ritualistic performance on top of, okay? So that's another layer. It is not just nut job Brian came into town and decided, I'm going to kill 4 people I don't know because I'm socially awkward on the spectrum and I'm a freak. I'm not saying he's none of those things. I'm just saying that's not what happened.
Could Sloan Bella be right? I personally believe that there was a live stream, maybe in the dark web. I've always said that. Look at these pictures Saeed is watching, and pay attention to the pictures or figures Jovita's watching, and the crowd back there. Zano. This looks like definitely that there was a live stream going on. So did the house have cameras? Were they actually bugged? Do you all remember that in the beginning it was said that Kaylee had a stalker? And you all saw how quickly the police debunked that. Jovita said that he didn't even know the frat boys. Pay attention to what he was watching. Was all this in the dark web, allegedly? Who was this guy? This was a couple of weeks after the quadruple murders. He refused to tell the news media who he was. And pay attention to the white pickup car parked at Queens Road. They seem to have a lot of white pickup trucks in Idaho, Moscow.
Handprint. The ghostly image appeared when this window was dusted for prints.
There's no doubt that it's an important item of evidence. There has to be a point of entry and a point of exit. If they print, it may be very significant.
I can show you. And we're learning that 21-year-old Kaylee Gonsalves may have been the killer's prime target. Public reports say that Kaylee was subjected to a more brutal attack than the other 3 victims.
So Kaylee had most of the injuries. I believe they all were targets, but Kaylee found out something she shouldn't have. I believe that part what Sloan Bella says. The detectives are checking Kaylee's car. But that is part of the procedure, I guess, because they were checking E's car too, and the white Chrysler car, I believe, parked next to Kaylee's car.
Really feel they got in the mix by accident, at least the ones that are dead, by accident in a cartel of triangular traffickers. Arizona, New Mexico, California. Arizona, New Mexico, California. That is what I think. I think they have people who phone. I think they have people who watch. I think this was very constructed. Now, here's something I'm going to say, and it might offend people. I feel somebody in that house, whomever, don't know if they're the dead roommates or the living roommates, but somebody was getting paid for the information that they were giving. I'm going to have to suspect that it's probably one of the two living ones, because otherwise they'd be dead. But and oh my God, I feel like, of course I'm always going to say this, I feel like there is a component of authority involved, because we all know when you have power, it's ridiculous, but the police department on some level is corrupt on some level, and they are being put into position to allow Koberger to get off on something, or to get away with it, or that's actually what's happening, I feel. Okay, I'm not saying he will, he might get some time in jail, or not. I feel like he's so meticulous because he's a weaponized human brain.
I found this reading to be very interesting. This was for fair use purpose. If you want to watch the rest of the clip, there's more to this clip. We'll need to go to Sloan Bella, his YouTube channel, about the Idaho Moscow case. Sloan Bella is really dedicated in the work she does. Some of us may agree and some may not, depending on people's belief. I don't understand. Many of us have faith, I guess, in our religions. So many of us wouldn't watch psychic readings. But I personally watch Sloan Bella because it's like, she makes it like a storytelling. And it's strange that so much of what she says becomes facts. So please leave a comment. Thank you, Sloan Bella. It's strange that she mentioned Arizona, Mexico, California. Inan Hush mentioned Arizona plates, Montana. She mentions organizations, steroids being involved. Maybe the sports department in the university. There are definitely powerful people involved. And that's what I've always believed. W.S.U. Kim told us about drugs being involved, and there was a shakedown, trigger warning. So there's a lot here that I see is part of what I've always seen before I even saw what Sloan Bella had to say. Please like, share, and subscribe. May the 4 victims rest in peace. Condolence to their families. And strangely enough, she said there were 3 organizations. There were 3 people in the house. Wasn't there 3 unidentified male DNAs? Was Koberger there to clean up? Since he studied forensics and crime and justice? According to Sloan Bella, he wasn't the person who was unliving them, and many of us have thought that thought too. Let me know what you think. Have a lovely day.